さてと。
任せて。
よし。行くぜ。行くよ。行くよ。
Okay, ja, nee, da hat er noch einen. Shot.
行くぜ。行くぜ。
Leider.
さてと。任せてくれ。
Boah, geht auch mal. Kann ich mit Eddie Breath einsetzen. Sag mal, Holy Breath.
やれやれ。
Langsam wird's eng.
Oh,
come on!
行くぜ。俺の番だな。
Natürlich nicht.
電池ネット。投射。
任せてくれ。やれやれ。
Ja, scheiße. Das ist aber wie Precious Sky. Ich hasse die Erdbeben einsetzen.
みんな、先に進もう。当然の結果かな。
Nice. Rebel. Craft book. This one looks like it suits Randy and Vasey style. Good stuff. Wanna give it a shot, Vasey? I'm game if you are. So. Dann gehen wir noch Morika? Morika. Oh nee, warte, Hayworth. Das ist der Hayworth mit mir. Okay, da unten. Nee, oben. Extra Garagentor. Excuse us, you put a request for a special support section? Ah, hello there, SSS. I can't tell you how glad I am that you're here to help with this again. Yes, thank you very much for coming. Can you tell us what happened since yesterday, Chief Tolta? I understand there was a new development in the case. Yes, that's correct. The fear situation is more dire than your judges thought. I'd like to discuss it in depth with you. Alright? All right away. Would you be alright? Right now it's fine. Please focus on the details. You mentioned that the situation has changed since yesterday? That it has. Yesterday evening I went to the Trash Tree Inn in another attempt to persuade Dreck. I told him that Minnith's character was far too suspicious and he had to break ties with him. You didn't beat around the bush then, huh? And for a second, but in the end, Dreck still refused to listen. However, I did learn something new, and so I hurried here to discuss the matter with Mr. Hayworth. Something new? Has Minnith taken some form of action? Probably. What Chief Tolta told me caught me off guard, if I may be frank. Minnith's grip on the village is far tighter than we think we had given it credit for. Would you mind elaborating? From what we learned yesterday, several villagers already trust him. Has it gone further than that? Well, you see, Minnith has not only secured the private property on all the Morika Road, but also leads to numerous plots and fields in the village itself. What? As shocking as it is, one question comes to mind. How was he able to pull off something that big? Good question. From what we know, Minnith pitched a plan to increase Morika's lotus production, as he puts it. By slowly accumulating these to the village's farmland, he could expand the lotus fields and streamline the harvests. Moreover, management of the plots themselves would be contracted with the Quincy company to reduce the required labor. That does line up with what we heard yesterday. At first blush, it sounds like a pretty good deal for the villagers. Yeah, too good to be true. As long as those deeds are in Minnith's hands, he can abuse the lands in any way he wants. There'd be no coming back from that. Indeed, the man cannot be trusted by any means. And had he solely focused on private property of ours, even the worst case scenario wouldn't be too terrible. But now that he's using plots of land within the village, the results could be catastrophic. You guys might be shit out of luck when it comes to breaking that contract, though. That's where you come in. If you can expose him, then perhaps the contract can be voided. I know there's nothing criminal happening on the surface here, but even still, can we ask you to look into this? Well, the SS has never actually been all beholden to the CPD protocol. Our job is to support the citizens when they request it. You've given us enough reason to find Minnith suspicious, so we gladly help. Thank you, Detective Bennings. All of you have been our village guardian angels. Where should we begin the investigation? I'm a bit of a lost set of it myself. Me too, It's not as if you have any smoking guns to look into. True. In that case, why not ask Ian for assistance? Do you mean Mr. Grimwood? Yes, granted we're only working off our suspicion at the moment, but if you explain the situation to Ian, he may be able to find a trace of something illicit in Minnith's actions. Sounds like a good idea. Even a shred of evidence against Minnith would be a good starting point for the investigation. I should warn you though, Ian's been aggressively busy ever since the mayor advocated for our independence. There's no guarantee he'll have the time to see you. Only one way to find out, off to Grimwood Law Office. Maybe we'll catch him, maybe we won't. We'll cross the bridge when we come to it. Yeah, let's go pay him a visit. We'll leave it to you then. I asked my business associates if they heard any rumors about Minnith or the Quincy Company. You would appreciate that. Thank you, everyone. You're the only ones I can count on. I'm so powerless in all of this. It's just pathetic of me. Don't worry, Chief Tolta. We'll handle it from here. You just sit tight and relax. And may I pray to the goddess for luck while you're at it. Well, I'll be waiting for you. Yes. So, which means West Street. Oh, Mr. Grimwood, we were afraid you might have been out of your office. Ah yes, I was just in the middle of taking a much-needed break, but it would seem you're in desperate need of my counsel. Is it really that obvious? I've seen those looks on your faces coming through my door countless times by now. Please take a seat. I might be busy, but I'm happy to lend you in here. Our apologies and thank you. Lloyd and the Essex explained what they learned about Minnith and his actions throughout the past 24 hours. They also mentioned that Minnith had been collecting leads to plots of land in the Marker village. I see this is quite a predicament the village has found itself in. A case such as this would typically be a top priority for me. But as you know, I've been busy this past week drafting up preliminary constitution for the mayor. I apologize, but I won't have the time to handle this case personally. It's unfortunate, but we understand. We suspect that would be the case. Still, even just a consultation would be helpful. Very well, I'll give you any advice I can while you're here. We appreciate Mr. Grimwood. So do you have any insight on this? At this point, there's no evidence of Minnith engaged in any unlawful activity, at least as far as we can tell. Is there something we're missing? I do have one idea. Damn, already? Possibly. An Erebonian contact of mine once provided me with some reference material for a very similar case. Though I can't say the circumstances are an exact match. Any lead that could help us with the investigation is a good one. If you think this other case is worth mentioning, we'd be happy to hear about it. Very well, I can hardly refuse you all. From what I can recall, several years ago, a man visited the estate of an Erebonian baron. He introduced himself as Rittner, an enterprising businessman working for a famous brewing company. Rittner presented the baron with an opportunity to become rich beyond his wildest dreams, and quickly at that. He proposed that the baron's barley fields, which had been passed down the family for generations, be used to establish a brewery. The facilities would be constructed on the barony, and his family would be responsible for managing them. That was the idea anyway. Oh, die reden von den Capuas, von Don und Josette. Hold on a second. What you're telling us is awfully reminiscent of what's going on in America. The Baron accepted a deal and signed Rittner's contract. Then, under the pretense of construction, the brewery, the fields, and a portion of the Baron's land were temporarily transferred to Rittner. Moreover, the Baron converted his assets into capital for the sake of getting the business off the ground. However, Rittner soon disappeared with both the deeds and the capital, never to be seen again. The hell? The Baron and his family panicked after suddenly losing contact with Rittner. At the time, they had no idea of the gravity of what was about to unfold. To their shock and surprise, they learned Rittner had sold the deeds to a third party. The land was to be repurposed into a villa resort. Today it stands as part of a suburb instead. Ja. Und da spielt dann Trails of Cold Steel 3 und 4 dementsprechend. In the end, the Baron's family racked up a substantial debt. Before long, they had lost their entire territory. With that, the family was stripped of the rank and they vanished without a trace. Nach Liberal. Damn, that's one hell of a story. The man conned them into giving up the property and sold it right under their noses. Who would even do such a thing? The investigation immediately reminded me of the case. One person lies to another's trust before running off with large fortune. It's a common strategy for committing fraud. Fraud? In this case, it's the same. The Minnith may not be a Quincy Company employee at all. He would simply be a conman trying to swindle a worker for all they're worth. Precisely, I can't say for certain that's the case here, but I'm concerned it might be. I agree, there are too many parallels between the story and our case. It'd be best if we shift our focus investigation this as a potential act of fraud. That changes the kinds of leads we should be looking into. Exactly, as far as Minnith goes, there are two major areas that stand out to me as suspicious. First, the plan of this. We need to find out whether or not he's actually done anything to establish this America Honey Company. We could probably figure it out by following the mirror trail. You'd have to apply for a bank loan to open a business in Crossbow. If it's all a sham, then we find the evidence we need to the ABC. The other point of concern is whether Minnith actually an employee of the Quincy Company. The Quincy Company's headquarters aren't in Crossbow, though, so that'll be a little tough to figure it out. I may be able to help with that. We should try starting by our grandfather's home. The McDowell estate? Why? There should be a brochure about the Quincy Company there. It outlines how the company operates. We may be able to find some useful information. What's something like that doing in your grand's platinum, Sally? Well, because I happen to enjoy making sweets, alright? I once took an interest in the Quincy Company, so I ordered one of the brochures. Last I recall, it was in a shelf in my old bedroom. Then again, I doubt that simple brochure would have all the information we need. I wouldn't be so quick to discount the possibility. It's officially Quincy Company material. You might be able to find something that conflicts with what Minnith said. It never hurts to cover all your bases. I agree. Let's stop at the McDowell estate too and see how it pans out. Thanks for all the invaluable advice, Mr. Grimwood. Because you finally have some leads to chase down. Always happy to be of service. Just to confirm, you say you were using a Hayworth residence as a base operation, yes? Yes, we are. Well, then I lend you my help with this case for as long as time limits me. Though unfortunately I can't make any promises given my other responsibilities. It's not a problem at all. You've already helped us immensely. It's nice having a professional in the neighborhood we can lean on. I'll try to meet up with you at the Hayworth later. Good luck with your investigation until then. Thanks, Mr. Grimwood. Okay, let's get this investigation underway. To start, we need to go to the IBC and look into Minnith's play regarding the American Honey Company. It would be a good idea to swing by the McDonald estate for a brochure too. Something in the memo might be contract Minnith's words. It gives a total of 2 leads to follow up on. Roger, we won't rest until we find the evidence. Zuerst hier hin. Da. Andere Seite? Ja. Let's see. Oh, here it is. As the Quincy Company brochure mentioned earlier. Dang, they even had the sucker bound. Can't say they didn't put any effort into the thing. They have a sample resource to do so, considering the size of the company. Whatever is written inside should be sufficiently credible. It's a good thing we stopped by for it. Alright, let's take a closer look inside. As the leader of the confectionery manufacturing, the Quincy Company strives tirelessly towards its next innovation. This brochure aims to briefly introduce the methods that increase the drive for passion. Belief the key aspect of any confectionery is the taste, otherwise how could anyone enjoy it? With this belief as a core tenet, the Quincy Company refuses to compromise on the quality of its products. Our factories are fitted with the latest equipment and operating with the utmost attention to hygiene. Here at the Quincy Company, we are particularly not just about the quality of our ingredients, but where they are sourced as well. Our product, available in Pipeline 2, is one of the strictest of standards. Prototypes are personally sampled by our executive who, after many meetings, decide whether a product is worth to go to market. Only then can they reach the production line. This has been a Quincy Company tradition since its founding, such that we may deliver value customers nothing less than the finest in confections to enjoy. It's this commitment to extent that has made the Quincy Company exceptional confectioner as it is today. And which what we expecting, that's all just typical corporate double talk. Did anybody manage to find a contradiction between this and something we have said? Not in particular. Maybe coming here for this brochure was a waste of time after all. Actually, I did notice something. Did you? Oh, okay, you just activated the old detective mode and bam, right? Well, don't leave us hanging. What you find? If you remembered what Minnith told us at the hotel yesterday, the answer is obvious. It was only a passing remark, but it still comes a major conflict with what's written in the brochure. Enough to prove that he isn't, in fact, an employee of the Quincy Company to begin with. You got that much out of this little pamphlet? That's right, you see, Minnith. Sorry to cut you off, but where's the fun in spying it all now? What are you talking about? Well, if I'm being honest, it's annoying that you're the only one who's figured it out. So why not give the rest of us a chance and save it for when we interrogate Minnith? Race is an investigation, not some game. I agree with Facey, actually. Your hypothesis might not be accurate after all. As a precaution, we shouldn't let ourselves be swayed by a mere hunch. Not to mention, I don't appreciate you stealing the spotlight with your detective mode, as Rennie put it. Why do I get the feeling that second comment was the real reason she doesn't want me to share? Fine, if you two insist instead, I want you all to consider everything we've learned so far. I summarized the main points of the brochure in the detective notebook. All that's left of us is to visit the IBC and let's see what we can find out there. Lead the way. IBC. God damn it. Hello again, SSS, what can I do for you today? Well, we'd like to ask you this cooperation with an investigation we're working on. Will it be possible for you to an account search for us, Landfine? We're hoping to look into some suspicious mail transfers from a certain depositor. You want me to pull up private information to one of our clients then? Doing so is within company policy if it's related to a criminal inquiry. But would you mind telling me the details of the situation first? Not a problem. I'll provide all the information they had in the suspected fraud case. I see, I believe I understand circumstances now. Will this be sufficiently probable cause for us to conduct a search? Cracking down on these kinds of things is in the bank's best interest too. Fraud will damage your reputation. You are correct, and this is related to a legitimate investigation. I can't help, but you'll have to settle for me simply telling you what I can pull up on my terminal screen here. That's more than enough, if you would please. Well. First let me search for an account registered under the name Minnith. American Honey Company, subsidiary of the Quincy Company. There we are. We do indeed have an account opened under that name. Hold on. What happened? Did you find something incriminating? Well, I don't have the authority to tell you the exact balance on record, but it was said the American Honey Company has no more than the minimum deposit in its account. What exactly does that mean? Basically, corporate accounts require an initial sum of capital to open. In this case, the base amount is all there. From what they've told me, it would lead to tens of thousands of million unaccounted for. Myth has the construction of the factory, management of the fees, and more to cover. It is simply impossible for any minimum deposit to be capable of financing all of it. That much is clear. And despite him holding the titles to the land and signing several deals, the balance hasn't changed a single time. It's suspicious to say the very least. But by which I mean the account appears to have been made for sole purpose of gaining Derek's trust. Things clearly aren't adding up here in more ways than one. Yeah, that's just the kind of evidence we needed. We appreciate cooperation, Landfire. Not at all, I'm glad I could be of assistance. Should you ever require anything more, please don't hesitate to ask. We'll keep that in mind. Okay, we now have material on every special aspect of Myth on this plan. Let's make our way back to Hayworth residence. Got it. Residential district. Ah, it's the SSS. There you all are. Mr. Grimwood, I'm glad you could make it. Did you just get back yourself, Mr. Hayworth? Yes, I finished asking my business associate about the matter at end. How things go on your end? We were able to round up a few leads thanks to Mr. Grimwood. How about you, Mr. Hayworth? I did just the same in a manner of speaking. You see, I'm not quite sure what to make of it all. Well, you went through the trouble of digging up that info, so you may as well share it with the rest of the class. Agreed, the information may be beneficial to our investigation. I suppose you're right. I asked my business associate if by the name Minnith rang any bells, having never heard of it myself. What they informed me is that he's been making inquiries into a certain market since arriving in Crossbow. And what market would it be? Land prices in various locations throughout Crossbow. Land prices? He sounds more like a real estate agent at this point. Why would a Quincy Company employee even need that kind of information? The answer just might be instrumental in helping us figure out Minnith's true objective here. You think so? It's certainly something worth considering. Incidentally, I may have discovered something else of note since we last saw one another. Huh? Harold, Chief Tolta? Could I ask you to help me find something in our office? At the office, Ian? I don't mind, but this is important. Well, it isn't substantial enough to prove anything in and of itself, but we may be able to use it as a final nail in the coffin once you've pinned Minnith down. You really got something like that up your sleeve, Grizzly Grim? Possibly, but we may not make it in time, so please don't wait for us. You ought to get to Morka Village as quick as you can. If Minnith is a criminal you think he is, then this plan could well be in the final stage as we speak. I'm confident, however, that the evidence you have on hand will be enough for you to solve the case. Best of luck, SSS. Got it, thanks, Mr. Grimwood. Okay, guys, off to Morka Village. It's time to reveal Minnith's true colors and stop his phony deals. That in the tracks. Right. Okay, auf nach Amerika. East Crossbow Highway. Kurz was.